Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with the video. Throwaway because my entire family is on Reddit, but for starters, I'm a 22-year-old female, and my sister, 24, had always been the golden child of the family. I guess it was due to the fact that she was the miracle baby because when my mom fell pregnant with her, the doctors told her that the baby most likely won't survive and that she would have a very hard time carrying any other pregnancies in the future. Well, after a very long traumatic delivery experience, my mom was able to give birth to my sister, Kaela, and thus she became the golden child who could do absolutely no wrong in this world. And then my mom fell pregnant with me, and I guess because of her traumatic birth previously, she really didn't want me, but still decided to keep me due to her religious beliefs. It was during this time, too, that my dad first cheated on her, and all of this negativity just set the tone for me all my life. To my family, my sister could do nothing wrong. Even when she was wrong, it was due to her circumstances, and in such a way, I was gaslighted all my damn life for everything that happened between her and I by my entire family. Even my other siblings who were born after me, but honestly, I just can't get myself to understand why I didn't just get up and leave the day I turned 18. I guess a final slap in the face was all that I was looking for. One of the reasons for my tolerance was also Chase. I met him in the first year of college at a club, and we dated all along during undergraduate school, got engaged after graduation, and married just last month. To me, Chase was my rock. He could do nothing wrong to me because he was one of the very few people who understood my struggles. Hell, it wasn't just him, though. It was his damn lovely family that made me feel like I belonged, more than my own family ever did. So I thought I had found my forever home, my soulmate, my everything, and I was so very desperate to not introduce him to my family, and I avoided doing so, at least until I had gotten engaged and we started wedding planning, and boy, was my gut feeling right. The day I introduced my family to Chase, their entire demeanor towards me changed. It was like, oh God, it was like they were completely different than how they had treated me all their lives. It was a complete 360-degree on their end. Chase loved them and loved their company, even though I had previously told him about everything that they put me through. Seeing them this way, Chase melted away, especially after the fake apology my parents gave me, but I kept going because I knew Chase was happy in their company. But eventually, I was set to find out the real reason behind his happiness. So we got married, and surprisingly, the wedding goes extremely smoothly. Hell, aside from all the taunting that my family did to me behind my husband's back, everything was so beautiful and unbelievably amazing. I thought I could honestly live with it, but of course, toxic people like them are bound to show their true colors, and soon enough, they did. Hell, on the day of my first anniversary with Chase itself, it all came crashing down. Well, Chase and I had planned this elaborate trip for our anniversary, and I was getting ready for it. I was packing all my things for this 1 week trip, and while doing so, was trying to find my wedding ring and the small diamond necklace that he had gifted me to wear on the trip. I usually only wore it occasionally because of the fact that I have extremely sensitive skin. So it made sense to me that it might have gotten misplaced. But when, after turning my house upside down, I found nothing, my anxiety started increasing. I confided in Chase about it as well, who very sweetly reassured me. And as a last try, I started turning my room upside down to find it when, while going through the nightstand, I came across Chase's phone, which was buzzing like crazy with notifications. Now, I'm not sure why I did what I did, but I peeked into his phone to see who was spamming him so much, and my stomach immediately dropped when I read my sister's name. It wasn't just her name, though. Literally, the very first message said, "Then we can start ruining your stupid wife," with laughing emojis. I just knew this text thread had nothing about me to read, but for my sanity, I had to. So, as I knew Chase was inside, completely engrossed in his football game, I opened his text, and one after the other started reading the exchanges between the two of them, and man, calling it a heartbreak would quite literally be an understatement because I began shaking as I sat there reading about my sister's plan, along with my own husband, to ruin my life, starting from stealing my jewelry and selling them to plant the receipts under my name to make everyone believe that I had been stealing for an affair partner, just so it could be easy for them to come out as a couple. It just didn't consist of that, though, but also text upon text of the two professing their love for each other, while both of them having partners of their own. That is when the human, the love in me, had died, and I knew I had to start thinking practically. So, thanks to all the Reddit posts that I had been reading, I first screenshotted as many texts as I could and sent them to myself. My next step was to confront my family, and that is when the shit show began. I knew I would have to talk to Chase too, but for him, I didn't really have any words left. For my family, though, I had a lot to say. So the first thing I did was go to the lawyers and tell them about all the proof of infidelity, stealing, defamation through the text, and then drawing up papers for the lawsuit. It took a couple of weeks for everything to happen. Hell, I even went to our 1-year anniversary trip and spent time with this man because I wanted the lawsuit to fall on my family like a bomb. And oh boy, when it did, I didn't expect them to drop a nuclear weapon on me. It was the very next day after I had returned from the trip. I drove to their place and all hell broke loose as the open envelope from the lawyer's office sat on the dining table. My mom went crazy, immediately blaming me for not being able to satisfy my husband enough and blamed my sister's boyfriend for not being able to be enough for her. My dad jumped in and told me that he'd do everything in his power to ruin me, more than my sister planned to, starting off by threatening to countersue me for defamation, and my family would act as evidence against it. After a lot of back and forth, I knew there was no use to talking to these people. So I just left eventually. This is where I'm at currently. Chase hasn't returned home yet, and that makes me think that he's found out about everything. I think it is about time that I leave the house too. I'm still confused about everything, especially about the threat that my dad gave me. What should my next step be here? Did I mess up? AITA? I decided to confront my husband like many of you all suggested, and thankfully, I will be able to do so with the divorce papers in my hands, as they are mailed to me today itself. So I tried finding him everywhere by calling him and his friends up, and right as I was about to give up, I received a call from my mother-in-law herself, who invited me over to her place. I'm currently preparing to go over to her place tonight with the divorce papers in my hands to hand them over to Chase if he's present there. As for my sister, she's been going crazy with threats to end me and other BS, and I have had it enough for her. So, along with suing her, I decided to go see her boyfriend of 2 years and show him the screenshots of the exchange between my husband and her. Neil, her boyfriend, is actually a great guy. Honestly, it was always heartbreaking to see him with her because I knew she'd torment him one way or the other, and she finally did. So after meeting him at the local cafe and putting everything down to him, he broke down in front of me, pulling out the engagement ring that he had gotten for her. He apparently had no idea about the lawsuit or anything, but just the fact that I was the one trying to do something to her. I explained to him the situation to the best of my abilities, and we both just sat there in silence, feeling the sadness as we tried comforting each other. Neil then promised me to help me get as many more screenshots as he could possibly get. I thanked him about it, and we went our separate ways. I'm currently leaving to get to my mother-in-law's place. I feel heavy in my heart, as if it's me against the world, but needless, I know I have to face this. I will update you all soon. Here's an update for you guys. I handed Chase the divorce papers today. in front of his mom, who seemed shocked by everything. He threw a fit about everything, going through all the stages that a liar, cheating a-hole would go through. Lie, deny, admit, blame, shift, you name it. His mom was horrified to see this version of him, but I wasn't a bit surprised because through my tears, I could see a version of my sister standing in front of me. It was like the man that I had known just broke into pieces and faded away. I couldn't utter a word, but thankfully, it was his mom that came in like an angel and kicked Chase out of the house simply for talking to me like that. She didn't even know the story, but the disrespect that her son displayed towards me was enough for her to kick him out. That is when I knew my mother-in-law was more of a mother to me than my own mom ever was. After Chase left, my mother-in-law comforted me, and after I reached a point where I could speak, I explained to her the entire situation, and she was dumbfounded as I was. She immediately called Chase's children and my father-in-law, explaining to them the entire situation, and they were not happy. All of them instantly disowned Chase, and he is facing a lot of trouble, especially due to the fact that the job he currently has is only because of his dad. If this wasn't enough support already, most of his immediate family came over to his parents' place with comforting things for me. His dad also promised to help me as much as possible in the legal process. I am eternally grateful for these people because without them, I think I wouldn't be as stress-free as I am currently. Hi all. I had stopped updating this post, but had been keeping up with the comments as well as the amazingly supportive messages you guys have been kind enough to leave. The court case that I had filed against my sister came to a conclusion recently, and she, along with my ex-husband, have to face a fine, community service, along with a short while in prison for everything they had done. Not just this, though, I also ended up getting a restraining order against my parents and other siblings after they tried breaking into my house multiple times after I refused to take back my case, since they realized that their false narrative clearly wasn't going to be taken into consideration over all the proof that I had over them. This all was truly a hell of a ride, filled with a lot of heartbreaks, especially after what Chase did to me, and I'm happy to see that he got his karma immediately after his dad cut all financial support he had been giving him over his small income. Currently, he's living in a beat-up apartment with no friends or family to look back to. As for me, every day I find myself waking up and questioning myself, why did this happen to only me? But after seeing my amazing chosen family, meeting Chase's family, who has become more of a mom, sister, brother, and dad to me than my own family has ever had, I feel like this all happened for a reason. NTA, your family is disgusting. Good on you and your ex-husband's family for taking a stand. Now your sister and Chase can live toxically ever after. NTA, Chase is disgusting if he left you for your sister after knowing everything they had done for you. Your mom and dad both are crazy, but honestly, just after reading the fact that they're together after your dad cheated, doesn't make me surprised that they sided with your sister. I'm sorry that you and Neil had to deal with the consequences of that. I, 35 female, have a sister, 33 female, with high needs, nonverbal autism, who lives in a group home. I went NC with my parents last year due to emotional abuse and parentification when I was a kid and refusal to take accountability for it, let alone apologize. My parents emailed me on my birthday from a newly created email. I had them blocked. I know I should change it, but my life is tied to that email address and it'd be a huge pain in the ass. Basically, to unload on me about how much I've hurt them for going no contact and to think of my sister, etc. I just about lost it there because even my damn birthday is still about them, their feelings, and my sister. I can't even have one day be about me where all I wanted was some goddamn peace for once in my life. So I just about exploded and wrote back, amongst other things. I told my mother, it was really messed up of you to tell me when I was only 8 years old that I'd one day have to be guardian to my disabled sister, be her advocate, and make medical decisions for her after she dies. You should have waited until I was an adult to have this conversation and ask, not demand, and still love me anyway if I say no. Talking to an 8-year-old about a parent's eventual death, unless they're terminally ill, is messed up as is. I do want to clarify my mom didn't want me taking physical care of her, but wanted me to be her guardian, advocate, and decision maker. My dad wrote me back a horrible email about how I made my mother cry, that she did the best she could, that my sister's disability was hard and unfair to all of us, that while it's unfair for a child to have to think about, she had no choice and wanted to prepare you for a young age. We made the best of a horrible situation. I still think that's horrible to put on a child. Of course, a child will say yes because they'll get punished if they don't. AITA? NTA. An 8-year-old can't legally be emancipated and should not. They're definitely not ready to be brought into a situation to care for another child or to make lifelong decisions pertaining to that child's care. You weren't old enough to grasp even a tenth of what you needed to know. Not to mention you lack the emotional maturity and mature thought processes to handle any of it. You should respond back saying, "There is no excuse for what you two did to me. Stop contacting me. If you keep contacting me without my consent, I will go to the police, file charges of harassment against you, and get an order from the court for you to leave me alone, or else you will go to jail." After that, don't contact them directly again. If they email you or try to get in contact another way again, go to the police and file a complaint against them and look into filing charges against them. Once they see you as serious, when the police come knocking at their door, most likely they will leave you alone. Good luck. Honestly, I, 25 female, can't believe I'm even questioning myself on this, but here we go. My sister, 21 female, is an addict. She has been for my nieces, 5 female, whole life plus some. She continued active addiction throughout her pregnancy as well until a few months prior to her due date. My poor niece was doomed before she was even born. Her father, no clue on age, is in and out of jail constantly and sees his daughter maybe once every 6 months. My family has always been my niece's safe place. She knows all she has to do is call me. My mom got her a phone for when her mom wouldn't wake up, feed her, do all the basics in caring for a child. And I'll be there in no more than 5 minutes to get her. She does call often. This last time she called me, she was hysterical, crying. Nobody would care for her. Mom wouldn't get out of bed. Boyfriend wouldn't get off game. I finally had enough. I picked her up, gathered up as many clothes as I could find her, 3 pairs of jeans, 2 dirty shirts, no shoes, and we left. I then find out she missed school because her mom wouldn't get out of bed. Day maybe 11 of the school year, and she's already missing for no good reason. Once we got home and she was settled in with her cousins and they were off playing, I called CPS. I told them she was being neglected and something needed to be done. I then get a call from my sister's boyfriend that he's calling the cops to my home because I'm holding my niece hostage. I told him to come get her. Many excuses and yelling match later, I just hang up. A few days pass, my niece goes to my mom while we have to be out of our home for a few days. We stay in a hotel, and once we're back home, I try to get my niece back. I know nothing has been done at this point through CPS, and honestly don't know if anything is going to be done, but I wanted to make sure my niece was safe, whether with me or my mom, who I thought was on the same page as me. Next thing I know, I am never allowed to see my niece again because I've called CPS. My mom ended up taking my sister's side and even went over and cleaned her house, which was absolute filth. Dirty clothes everywhere, trash, dog shit and piss, etc. I'm so confused at this point. My family and I were fully prepared to take her in while mom and boyfriend got themselves back to a healthy, reliable state. Not sleeping constantly and playing video games clean home, etc. So basically, what I'm asking is AITA for worrying about my niece's well being and calling CPS on my sister? NTA, obviously your sister and boyfriend are, but your mom as well. Next time your niece calls you because mommy won't wake up, call the cops and ask for a welfare check. Talk to a family lawyer and see how you can get custody of your niece without CPS and courts involved. CPS is mostly useless because they don't have enough funding or anything to do anything. Even if your niece is taken out, she can be placed in the worst environment unless you take her in.